Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for the third part to our sit down live talks with people in ALLO. Today we have Dave Miller, who's the Director of Ethical Engagement. If you have any questions that you'd like to ask Dave, he can answer them on the spot today. Just drop them in the chat, and Alyssa will be behind the screen to send them our way. So, Dave, you've talked about this before, but Director of Ethical Engagement is a unique position to ALLO, and you don't really see it in the telecommunications industry. So could you give us a little overview of what your position entails?
Yeah, good question. I often get asked, I give people my business card and they'll sort of do this and ask, what Director of Ethical Engagement? So I love the fact that it's unique with us at ALLO because when I first met Brad, I've been at ALLO a little over 4.5 years. But when I first met Brad, the first thing he talked to me about ALLO about was the culture and core values. And I thought, that's interesting. I've talked to other business leaders before about their business. No one ever started with culture and core values. And so I had been looking to make a career change anyway. And as he got to know about my background and I got to learn more about ALLO, he said it's important that we have everyone focus on our living out our core values, but have somebody in that role that can, company-wide continue to motivate and encourage us to live those out. And so one morning it just kind of came to me, what about Director of Ethical Engagement? Because the ethics piece, I think, is the actual core values, which we'll talk about. The engagement piece is living those out, engaging them on a daily basis. And so I approached him. I said, hey, what do you think about the title Director of Ethical Engagement? And he liked it and it stuck. And so here we are. And what I've heard from others is, there is no other Director of Ethical Engagement at any other telecommunications company, let alone any other company that I'm aware of. So we're unique in that respect. I like it.
It's definitely great to have somebody that can keep that pulse of our core values and make sure it translates to other markets, especially as we grow. So I definitely see how it has positively impacted inside of ALLO, making sure that everyone internally is fully aware on what our core values are so they can make sure they're living them out both when they're at work and outside of work, since we're people's neighbors. Our customers are our neighbors. Right. So definitely glad they picked you for the job.
Well, and see, that's the thing to make clear is, it's not Dave's responsible for the core values. I mean, I want to be seen as like a coach and a motivator and someone who can inspire and challenge all of us, all 1,000 of us now as we continue to grow, to always be living out the core values. And like you said, in everything we do, not just while we're at ALLO, but in all relationships that we have. If you have kids, significant others, spouses, that sort of thing. Everybody you come into contact with, these core values can apply to those relationships as well.
Yes, of course. So that is a unique aspect of ALLO, but what else would you say sets ALLO apart in the industry?
One of the things, obviously, is our technology. Being a fiber to the premise provider is really unique in that we do ubiquitous builds, complete builds. We go into a community and we let them know that our intent is, we say if we lay 1 inch of fiber, we're going to make sure that fiber passes every resident, business, government entity, every school within the city limits. That's kind of a game changer for what we do. But really, the other one, as we talk to communities and work with potential new communities, we like to lead with our core values. We'll specifically talk about them in a second, but I think that speaks a lot to the new communities and current communities because they're not used to working with an organization that takes something like this so seriously.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So we were once a smaller company, once just having 30 to 40 employees. How is ALLO implementing our core values and staying true to them as we grow so quickly?
Yeah, that's something I constantly think about because I see it certainly not impossible as we grow, but I do see it as a challenge because, if you look at other organizations that have started off small and really grown quickly, it seems oftentimes they lose that foundation. Our goal at ALLO is to make sure we stay true to the core values. So again, as we grow, how do we do that? I think a lot of it has to do with making sure that we have what I call culture carriers. every one of us that can carry the culture into our teams, into our communities. And then as we grow, we develop new markets such as Arizona and Colorado, which they may not be as familiar as Nebraska is with ALLO. Well, we need people that can transfer that culture, right? And we often say, I've heard the term before as we look to hire new people. Well, we want to make sure you're a good culture fit. And I've kind of steered away from using that term culture fit because it sort of implies conformity. And that's not really what we're talking about. We want to add to our culture, continue to grow our culture, which is built on the foundation of our core values. So as we look to hire people, we always say we hire character. So we look at people that, have a certain set of core values already. They're honest, they're trustworthy, they're people of integrity, they're hard workers. And we say to them, welcome to ALLO. We look forward to how you're going to help us add to our culture, not conform or fit to it, but add to it. Here's the foundation, and let's continue to build and grow upon that. And, knock on wood, it's been going really well. I get an opportunity every Monday and Wednesday to visit with our new hires, talk about this very thing, and just kind of see the excitement that they have for being part of a company like this.
Yeah, I think that's super important, especially, we have people coming from 27 different cities. Like, people have different backgrounds. They might not even be from one of the states that they're working in. So that everyone does bring a super unique perspective that will translate and, relate to one of our customers. But how do they uniquely own those values with their own perspective? So I think that's really a really good point.
Yeah. And, you go through an interview process, and we have a great recruiting team. We have great hiring managers. You can get a sense for a person, I think, pretty easily by just asking some really good questions around behavior. And that will really start to open up, I believe, the character of the person and help you determine if, they're going to be able to add to our culture and help us continue to grow, stay true to the values.
Yes. So we've talked about this a lot, but one of ALLO's big missions is to close the digital divide in everything that we do. What are some efforts that ALLO has been doing recently in support of that?
Yeah, and that's one of my personal goals and passions, is to help us very proactively work at closing the digital divide. And again, that's something that I think is very passionate and near and dear to Brad as well. And I think that's extremely important. So a couple of the things, I can only highlight a few. There's so many more. But when ALLO first came to Lincoln in 2016, we had an agreement with the city of Lincoln that we would offer free gig internet for 10 years to 75 nonprofits. So we formed a committee, selection committee, and went through a eligibility criteria process. We had 99 applicants of nonprofits, which was unbelievable. It really showed the interest that was there. Based on the criteria, though, 22 of them didn't meet one or more of the criteria. So that left us with 77 nonprofits. No questions asked. Why wouldn't we just? And we did. We gave it to all 77 nonprofits, which are still enjoying that today. And what's been unique about that is, as we talk about, other ways we help close the digital divide, ALLO is participating in a federal program. It's now known as the Affordable Connectivity Program, and it's essentially a free internet program for households that qualify through one of the low-income federal programs like Medicaid or SNAP. And when this program first came out, the question was, well, how do we educate people about this? Because anytime you say, hey, you have the opportunity to get this at no cost, antennas go up. People are not so easily to trust you, and they're a little bit wary, and I can understand. So we thought about it, and it was, well, wait a minute. We have a great relationship with the nonprofits here in Lincoln that are receiving free internet from us. They know us, they trust us, and it was one of the executive directors who coined the phrase, use us to transfer the trust to them. So the nonprofits trust ALLO. The families we want to serve trust the nonprofit, so they were able to transfer the trust. And to date we have, I think we're just over 2,000 households that we're able
Wow.
to serve and provide this free program to. And we have that information on our website. We encourage people to check it out. But that's one way. And then the last thing I'll mention is, in all of our communities that we serve, we encourage our teammates, let us know, be aware if there's a nonprofit that we can partner with. Let's see if we can help them out, right? We have a selection process, eligibility criteria. But to me, that's extremely important because these are the folks that really are the heroes. Mm-hmm. This is not something that ALLO does, to say, hey, look how great ALLO is. No, we want to come alongside and support those nonprofits and just ease the burden from this if we can.
I remember my first month here going to the Food Bank of Lincoln and helping you hand
That's
out
right.
flyers
That's right.
in the heat, and going to Matt Talbot, and ALLO really was intentional about bridging that relationship with the nonprofits and getting us out there in person and showing our faces too to help build trust that way. So that was awesome.
Well, and that's one of the great things about culture too, is here at ALLO. If someone's looking to be part of a company that cares about making a difference in the community and in people's lives and cares about making an impact, ALLO's the place to be because we have that heart, we have that attitude, we have that mindset, and the rewards come back tenfold. If I could tell a story, and I'll always tell this one story of impact. So as we were working with one of our nonprofits, I got a call from a single mom who said, because again, people little leery sometimes of free, but she said, is this really true? Do I qualify for free internet through ALLO? And I said, absolutely. Can I ask a little bit about your story? She said, well, I'm a single mom. I'm taking classes at a local community college to get my degree, but I can't always be in the classroom. I have to be at home with my kids. And so I take my tests online, but I'm using my cell phone. I have to hotspot it. And the problem is these are timed tests. And so I hit my data cap and they throttle my speed. And she said, so I've not been able to complete my tests in time. And here's the part that got me. She said, Dave, I'm not a stupid person. And she said, but with ALLO, I don't ever have to worry about the speeds being throttled down. I can complete them in time, in the time that I need, and I can go on and get my degree and be successful. And I was just blown away because I thought, those are the stories that keep you going, and you're thankful that you work for a company that really does have this mindset.
Yeah, you're doing good, but then when you hear those stories, it makes it all the more worth it. So
exactly.
Alyssa, do we have any questions on the other side?
Ralph Garcia says Miller time.
Yes, hello, Ralph.
Jim Goodman, also ALLO employee, says culture is what attracted me to ALLO. It matters, and as a customer, it was evidenced to me in every engagement.
Amazing. So we have somebody saying Miller time. Dave, each week in our internal newsletter, does a segment where he throws some knowledge at all of our ALLO team members, and he usually makes it pretty engaging and fun. So, yep.
Ben Wilson said, that's great. You're making time to meet with new hires. Adding culture is a great way of looking at growing.
Yes. And then we have somebody else that says that it's awesome that Dave takes the time to meet with new hires to make sure that culture is transferred on the first ALLO moment.
Good.
Great.
Keep the questions coming.
Thanks for sharing. If you have any questions,
yeah, thanks for your
please ask them as we move on. So Dave, you also part of your role is to help look into new communities. When you are talking to a community leader for a potential ALLO community, what do you say about ALLO's culture and why ALLO would be beneficial for their city? What's like the main point you'd want to make sure you got across?
So let's talk about the 4 core values because we've kind of skirted around. So we have 4 core values at ALLO, and they are to be honest, exceptional, local, and hassle-free. And so again, yes, if we talk to new hires, we go through each one. We talk to potential new communities in our new market selection process. We talk about our 4 core values specifically. And for example, when we talk about the honest core value to them, we make it clear that one of the ways we live out being honest is in our pricing, for example. We don't do contracts. We don't do lowball teaser rates just to lure you in and then 6 months later, dramatically increase the price as some of our competitors have been known to do. And I think they find that very refreshing because we try to be, upfront and honest, transparent with our pricing, no hidden fees or gimmicks. So they find that to be refreshing. When we talk about our exceptional core value, that primarily pertains to how we deliver service, customer service, defining who our customer is. We talk about something called the Net Promoter Scores, which is very common, not just in this industry, but in many industries. And it's essentially feedback from customers as to how likely they are to recommend or refer you to their friends or family. And if you can, in the overall scheme of Net Promoter Scores, get as close to 70 or above as you can, which is considered world-class, you're doing a phenomenal job. Well, ALLO consistently hovers between 60 and 70 in that Net Promoter Score. Our competitors typically aren't even close to that, usually single or negative digits we find. But the third core value, I think the one that really speaks to communities is our local core value, because at one time they may have had a local presence from their incumbent, but we stress that living out this core value means we're going to be part of your community. We're going to have a storefront where customers can come and talk to us face to face if they have questions or pay their bills or anything like that. We also get involved in the community, being local, by supporting nonprofits we talked about, and getting behind events, music events, youth type events, business to business events. I mean, we say that our customers are our neighbors, not a number. And I think that's the one that really rises to the top, because that's important to them. They want relationship, they want interaction. And then the last one is the hassle-free core value, which in my mind sums up all the core values, because the hassle-free core value is really the golden rule, which is treat others the way you want to be treated. So naturally, if that's the case, you're going to be honest with people. You're going to be exceptional and go above and beyond. You're going to be local, which means be present in the moment, develop a relationship, and then be hassle-free. Make it easy to do business, for them to do business with us.
Yep.
That's a lot.
Yeah, I know it is a lot. And it's awesome that even though it is a lot of things, to make sure we can check off the list to make sure that we're acting in that way for our customers in every interaction. But ALLO really does make sure that we do. So that's awesome. One last question, unless we have any coming through. I know ALLO's culture and core values have heavily influenced your choice to pivot your career to ALLO, and we do have a lot of open positions as we grow. So could you tell us a little bit about that journey, why you made that career switch to ALLO, and advice that you would give to somebody looking into ALLO for a career?
Okay. So as I mentioned, I've been with ALLO 4.5 years. Prior to that, I was a pastor for about 11 years. And prior to that, I've had 3 careers. So my career before that was in sales. I was a national sales trainer. And so I had gotten to a point in my role as a pastor where I was looking to get back into the business world, but I didn't know if there would be a way that I could combine my sales experience, and I have a big music background. We'll briefly talk about that here in a minute, but bring that, as well as what I learned being a pastor, bring that to ALLO. And again, when I first got to meet Brad, I shared all of this with him, and it just seemed to fit really well with the culture at ALLO, because, as a pastor, it's very similar. You have a group of people, you have an organization that you define what your core values are, and then determine how you're going to live those out. Well, that's very similar to what we do at ALLO, right? And so that made really good sense for me. So in talking to folks who might be looking to make a career change, oftentimes I think people are looking to be part of a company that has a good, healthy culture. Yes, compensation is important, benefits, retirement, all that is important, but I think culture is just as important too. And it's not always about profit, it's about purpose. And so being able to be part of a company, again, that looks to make an impact, looks to have fun, because we do. We haven't talked about that, but we like to have a lot of fun at ALLO. We do a ton of fun things. We work really hard, but we also play really hard. And one of the things is,
Nice
here it
segue.
is, good segue. So I talked about we sponsor music events in our communities. Well, here in Lincoln, we have the Live at Telegraph Summer Concert Series. We partner with the Mill, which is the local coffee shop right next door. And starting June 1st, every Wednesday night from 6 to 9 until through August 3rd, we have live local bands that come out here on our patio and perform. And we've had upwards of 700 people that have come. And what's great about that is it's ALLO teammates. So we're able to, have fun with our own teammates, but it's also our customers, folks in the community. And especially since we're, through the pandemic, it's just been so great to get shoulder to shoulder with people again and just have a good time. So just one of the ways that ALLO is really.
And June 29th is when Dave and his band, the B Street Band, will be playing out on the patio. So if you want to hear Dave's music skill beyond his great director skills,
and
you can see him play guitar and sing.
Well, and we have to mention, we have a very special guest too. Our own Brad Moline, our own president and founder, is going to be sitting in with the band playing drums. So you got to come for that, if nothing else.
Pretty unique that ALLO has, a great, strong band that we can pull out internally, band. But also they're amazing. So don't miss them.
We need to get
might have to pop in there.
Yeah, she's been known to get up and sing. So we have a lot of talented people at ALLO. Let's just say that. So.
Yes. So, Alyssa, any more questions on that end? All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining. It's really awesome to take this time to sit down and have a real chat with people inside of ALLO. So we hope you enjoyed hearing from Dave and what his position entails. And we hope to see you next time. Thank you.